Hey, what's up, all? It's Lotus Globe here. So today it is June 28th, 2020. As you all know, Mars has just passed through Aries and is going to be in that sign, uh, transiting through the chart through next year. It's gonna be it's going to be a pretty long transit, and there's going to be a retrograde period around August. Um, so the reason why I bring this up is because the main subject matter for today is going to be about desire, and the uh, focus on how um, this season with Cancer now being in the sun sign for for this month, and for the unfolding of summer, as the waters of life are giving a new rise of fruition to all the crops, and uh, within all the realms of horticulture, and of course correspondingly certain fruitfulness within the human condition. It's important now to look at how that fits within the chakra system, particularly looking at the second chakra, the sacral chakra, which is the Savasana chakra, and then looking at the third chakra, the Manipura chakra, as the foundation for which those waters rise up to provide support for. And the third chakra, of course, is the house of Mars, because that has to do with the willpower, to basically route the watery energies that are associated with pleasure and with sensuality, and find a way to direct those energies on a very, very steady upward climb up through, like the solar plexus chakra is basically where that energy starts to take on a certain shape and direction as it's moving upwards. So this is also why it's essential to talk about Cancer's opposite sign, Capricorn, here, since we also have that conjunction with Jupiter and with Pluto. And, the need to basically find structure in desire. It's been said that you look at all those memes that are out there of all those spiritual gurus saying, everything you have in life, to make you happy is within inside you. Well, okay, and so how do we bring that out exactly? Because we as human beings are very, very messed up creatures inside psychologically. And, to simply say that we can unlock the God within us, is often very misguided, because, it's true, we do have the potential to, communicate with whatever deity or deities within that can help to manifest whatever sort of reality that we desire to have, but you need structure. Otherwise, things are just going to be constantly, tipping about, left and right, like this rocking boat, and you don't know quite yet when you're going to be thrown off, into the tides. So that's why it's essential to look at, Capricorn, the mythological and archetypal connections to Capricorn as well too. And this also does tie in with Mars, even though it is moving through Aries right now. Um, it does have, importance here because it is exalted in Capricorn, meaning that obviously the steady, surefire path that the goat takes, fused with the masculine energy of Mars, is obviously a redeemer of sorts, So Capricorn, of course, is a sign that helps to bring structure to, provide that emotional housing that we need. So then that way, your sacral chakra is not constantly bloated and causing you to be in such a state of overwhelm here. I mean, this is particularly true for, people who are extremely horny and feel it's summertime right now, so the girls are starting to come out and starting to dress up in, whatever sort of revealing clothing, to really, trigger whatever fetishes or fantasies you may have, of wanting to, immerse yourself in this other person. And, you know, that's also Capricorn's domain right there, because if you think about Scorpio as being that sign where all those inner urges, those chaotic impulses, just that insatiability to really, really want something right away and to be very, very, persistent about it. Like that, of course, can be troublesome and chaotic without the structure of Capricorn here. And in fact, it just so happens that Scorpio is on my ascendant right now, and it just so happens to also be in a square right now with my natal Mars in Capricorn. So I just thought that was an omen right there to show that obviously the psychological insecurities that I may have obviously need to be faced. That there needs to be a lot of digging in the dirt that's going on. Somebody play that Peter Gabriel song right now. Yeah, and the thing, I'm wearing my Genesis Lamb Lies Down on Broadway shirt, so that's kind of the background subject matter for this video. Other than being a hardcore Genesis fan and Peter Gabriel fan. But anyways, not to get distracted here with my fanboyism, but so the importance here in understanding, what it means to, really, really get deep within your psyche, to really, really bring out, those ancient, primal, and rather transient energies, to unlock the mysteries within, which once you're able to, they provide this architecture of light within, in which, in the next phase is, manifesting it into some earthly existence. Now, I talked about that a little bit, when I was discussing, Mercury's transit through my 10th house in Cancer. So there's a continuing theme going on here. And just to advise everyone, even though I am going to be referring off of my chart as well too, I'm also, referring to just, the progressive transits that are going on with some of these planets right now too, so that you can also find a way to relate and, look at how these planetary influences are, shaping your life right now in the present as well. So, okay, so getting on course here. So the recent conjunction with Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn has obviously been essential so as to realize that we cannot be victims, of our government, our, um, higher, authorities out there that, are constantly changing the picture of reality, to mess around, with, the actual inner truth, of what's really going on in the world right now. And, so Capricorn basically symbolizes, that rising of truth in concrete form. And this is found in the archetype of Pan right here, who was a god of the wild and who obviously sought to transmute the regenerative powers of Scorpio, as in the case of, sexual energy, as well as just the full spectrum of astral energies that otherwise remain invisible to the naked eye. These things, become embodied in material form, which is obviously the function of the cardinal nature of Capricorn. So, in fact, a really good book, to understand, Pan's role in our mythology and kind of how, it plays a part in, how our, capitalistic, principles for society, kind of run, our pursuit for happiness, is, by checking out the book Jitterbug Perfume by Tom Robbins. And in fact, if I may do so, okay, this is it right here. Really good book to check out. I'm actually on my second reading of this right now, and it's awesome. King Alabar, the main character in the book, in, I want to say it's 17th century France. It's his personal journey from stepping down from such a very high rank of authority to, getting involved, with the more earthy pagan religions, and then eventually encountering Pan himself, this interaction that goes on between the two is essentially the whole subject matter between human and nature right there. So this interaction that goes on between the two results in King Alabar, becoming fascination with the world of perfumery, and looking to find a special scent that can, by its very nature, help to transcend death. That definitely sounds like a root chakra and a sacral chakra story right there, because I know that the power of smell is linked to the root chakra, because it deals with survivalism. Obviously, of course, the sensation is linked with the second chakra. So if you put those two together, you get this puzzle of this king who is, trying to embody and raise the spirit of Pan through the power of, through the power of smell. Now, I mean, to broaden this out more, he basically is looking to unlock the power of Pan, the spirit of Pan, through, just this merging between our animal and our spiritual natures right there, and it actually reminds me of this podcast that was going on yesterday with Somanana Tantra, who I follow on Facebook quite a bit. I should actually leave a link to the page on my Facebook page for that Tantra group. In fact, the group was formed by Somananda, who wrote this book here. And the podcast that I was watching yesterday was all about the ego and whether or not the ego is a friend or foe. Now, the conclusion that I came to is that, it really is neither. It's, it's a function of the mind that its main motivation is self-preservation, which is obviously essential, as humans, since we all need to survive, we need to eat well, we need to get enough sleep and all that, and, we need to have enough enough healthy sex in our lives too, and that's those are obviously things that belong to the first and second chakras right there, and so the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in this case is highlighting also the god Hades, who is basically seen as kind of a forefather to Pan. In fact, before, the Christian religion decided to, decided to create this concept of the devil by basically watering down, by basically obscuring Hades' role in human development and focusing on Pan and focusing merely on him as being a trickster god, that tries to lead people astray, to become victims of their animal desires. Hades himself was actually a god that, had just as much of an important profile as Pan did. And, I think what we tend to forget, is that because Pan was a god of the underground, the underworld, we tend to think that, he was just this invisible god who, watched over the passageway of souls, that are moving from this life and into the afterlife, through the river Styx. And that's not all that Hades represented. Hades, basically represented, the Black Earth, the subterranean realm of earthly existence where, there's that connection to the astral realm, and all manner of thought forms and images that, once understood, can, in fact, lead to the person mastering his own desire nature and, bringing whatever may into existence, in fact, you know, if we think about, Scorpio then in this case as being symbolic of Hades. Now, Scorpio, of course, is both, ruled by Pluto and Mars. So technically, there's a kind of a fusion of both water and fire in Scorpio. So when we think about, desire, it is, first kind of this burst of creative fire, which is then, condensed down and crystallized into watery form. And then Capricorn is what, helps to materialize, the very, very thought forms that are associated with, whatever sort of pleasuring sensations, one may have. So the if you think about, the bottommost level of existence, and now let's, think about the eyes and what they mean. Now, clairvoyance, by the way, is also associated with the sacral chakra. When the sacral chakra is overinflated, there is, not just, this over flowing of water, the element water, but there's also an overflowing of fire too. So, existence, takes on this incredible, landscape of a forest fire that seems to stretch in all directions. Obviously, nothing is burning down into cinders, but over time, when that blockage is not faced and transmuted, then obviously, it can result in, the bowels, just over time growing very, very stiff and stagnant. And, that's what happens, of course, when the solar plexus chakra is undeveloped too. So the key, of course, to penetrating this dome of, of forests, of the forest fire of dead souls, is to, essentially, focus the willpower on a very, very still point with, within this great astral fire that's going on. And that is where this tarot card comes into the picture. Now, this is definitely a great illustration for the underworld right here. So, yeah, the moon card, represents the unconscious side of the lunar energy that is going on right now, at the peak of this, or at the very beginning of this hot summer season. And as you can see now, the scarab beetle right here is holding up the sun, which is basically the light that, brings truth and clarity in the midst of all the veils of illusion that are brought on by this wildfire of of unprocessed astral energy that's still in its state of becoming and not yet manifest. Where basically, the creative fire is just existing in this smoldering, ashy, and very, very watery sort of residue. It's a very, very muddy, stagnant, volcanic residue. And, the regenerative powers of the water here, symbolized by this card, is what this scarab beetle is, absorbing, to help illuminate the sun here. And then you have these two towers, and you have both these Egyptian gods here symbolizing Anubis, who is the god that watches over, the passing, the transmigration of souls from life to death. And, likewise, from death back into life again, depending upon, how you can purify yourself to direct, your energies up through the solar plexus and then into the heart, So, and obviously the two coyote dogs that stand just below, I hope you can see this, that stand just at the very feet of these two Anubis guards are basically symbolizing, the, this trial in which, the souls that are the most impure get devoured by these two dogs. But the ones that are pure and true and hold the light of truth within, to support and to amplify and empower the solar plexus chakra, they allow those souls to pass through. And this right here, this canyon is actually representative of the yoni, the vagina. And symbolically, this is, where, those souls pass through, the moistness of that gateway, which, helps to lubricate, if you will, the ashen, fiery, watery stagnation that exists within the solar plexus, the sacral chakras, and helps to penetrate through and provide, a nice rushing flow of energy that helps to then power up the lighthouse of the solar plexus chakra. And from then on, that's when Mars, is able to, help, that soul to transcend, from the darkness and into the light. And it's, when you discover, once you finally emerge, and to me this actually looks like, this ribbon right here actually looks like, kind of like a stream of incense, which I feel kind of represents the power of smell, combined with the power of sensation to, start reconnecting with our 3D reality matrix. And we do that once we have passed through the subconscious terrain of the moon. Once we pass through that gateway of the subconscious and have returned again, then that beautiful lover that, has been long waiting for us, or waiting for you and for me, to finally bring us together, and to create, this beautiful and incredible union in which, the light just continues to ascend, and to descend as into bring, the heavens down, to create that nice liminal threshold between heaven and earth. That is definitely the goal of Capricorn right there. I know that sounded like a very, very convoluted explanation right there, but you know, it's I had to get everything out there, to explain, just how, very, very complicated, you know, each of these different, archetypal energies and forms are, and how they interact with each other. Um, so yeah, I guess um, to elaborate more on the ego in this case, the ego's function, is essentially to help, to bring, to fill up, that structure of desire with this beautiful and incredible light that helps to, bring that of what is melted and decayed, and, to bring it back together into form and to movement once more. So I'm just looking at my notes here. So yeah, okay. To acknowledge, to just point something out here, and this is why I was happy to watch that podcast on that tantra school website on Facebook. The um, okay, so understanding the secret wisdom of Pan, aka Capricorn, can help to move the tectonic plates of the earthly body. The secret, of course, as they teach in Tantra, has to do with a certain internal pressure. And, this pressure is, essential so as to be applied to what they call in Tantra, and it's described in this book here in chapter 3, the ojas. It's even said right here. Yeah, explains a lot, doesn't it, when it comes to, elucidating the whole everything that you have inside you, is what you need to make your life happy. It really brings clarity to that. So, but the key, of course, to bringing that out is, by applying that inner pressure, which can actually work in a sense so that, you don't have to feel like you're rejecting the outside world in any way in favor of having a spiritual life. Like, where so where we also have, the need to, bring ourselves up to the heart and to move upwards, through the crown chakra. So we are able to bring this energy back down again and to circulate it constantly, which is, which explains, the necessary movement, of, of the, the Kundalini energy, and for me, the energy that houses the spirit of Pan, to help to change the environment and to change reality. So it, yoga, of course, and breath work, are things that can definitely help to bring a grounding nature to our lives so that we aren't constantly finding ourselves drifting away into the sixth dimension all the time, because we also have to be able to take care of ourselves on this earthly plane of existence. And that also obviously means just going against what the government, what the media is telling you to believe in, and instead focusing more on the story that is going on within you, through this process of ascension, and of course, that pressure, which can be found through yoga and through, the breath, through breath work. These are things, like the postures in yoga, the mudras, the pressure that's applied, between your fingers, and even the pressure that is the internal pressure that is created through breathing, diaphragmic breathing and chest breathing, those are also essential tools, to regulate that movement of creative fire through the mass-centered earth. And so, of course, with Tantra, that framework can be completed. That way the focus is on conserving the ojas so that, accidental ejaculation doesn't occur. And of course, as I'm looking at this here, and so obviously when working with this internal pressure, it helps, so then that way we are able to map out not just externally but also internally as well, the many different moving parts within ourselves that help the body to act as the animated organism that it needs, to sync up with, the life clocks of Kronos, so as to basically, embrace the responsibility that we're given and be able to ascend, to be able to dance with bliss, as we go along with it. So, yeah. Okay, I guess to just wrap things up too, I wanted to fit in a little bit of this Mars transit too. So, the Mars transit in Aries, is also going to be a very, very, powerful and, forward-moving force that is also going to, make, this manifestation and, this manipulation and reshaping of, the massive reality, to become more bearable, to become more, possible. So obviously, with Mars in the sign that it rules over, I'm going to be interested to see what sort of powerful, what sort of powerful changes it's going to create in the world around me, around all of us, really. So, anyways, yeah, that was one very, very heated video that I did. And hopefully you got some very, very good lessons out of this. And obviously, you know, like, just like my video, follow my channel, leave comments in the comments section. Of course, you know, if there's anything that you feel lost about, you know, then you probably haven't listened, you know, well enough to everything that I said in this video. So, but obviously I'm open to comments about, you know, what you related to in this video, and if we can have very, very constructive and meaningful conversation to flesh out, you know, some of this stuff, because there's only so much that I can fit into one video here. But yeah, anyhow, that's it for today, and it's time to jump on the Mars train to start, you know, laying down the tracks, you know, for, you know, this incredible orgasmic joy to manifest into reality. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Peace.